Yo, what is going on everyone? Shri Kanase here. So $1,298 per day with Facebook ads. Now, as you guys can see on my screen, currently I have last month's dashboard open right now. And just to show you guys that this is actually true and not something I cooked up, I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page so that you guys do see that this is a real live recording and nothing that I faked or something like that. So as you can see, it's still $40,252.26. But the reason why the title of this video is $1,298 per day is because if you divide 40,252.26 by 31, because there were 31 days in October, that equals to about $1,298 in sales every single day. Of course, if you look at the chart, it kind of started at the bottom and then worked its way up and then went back down again a little bit. And I'll be explaining why the chart looks this way very soon in the video. But this is exactly the amount that I was doing roughly every single day. And before anybody comments down below, stop showing us the sales dashboard, show us the profits. You have zero profits because you are a loser. The profit for this store was roughly 10% only, and there's a big reason as to why it was only about 10%. As you can probably see by now, there were some issues I faced around this time of the month, which is why there was a dip in sales. And the main reason behind this was because of the fluctuations of the ads, and especially because of very high competition during this time, because of course it's Q4, that's when the competition is the most. But this video is going to be all about exactly how I was able to achieve this amount in a single month with one of my Shopify stores. And it's a niche store which does well mostly in January and February. So this store doing this much in October was actually a big surprise for me. But without wasting any more time, let's just jump right into exactly how I was able to do roughly $12.98 per day. So in order to start talking about the specific strategy, I want to start by talking about the product first. So let's go ahead and start talking about that. The first thing I'd like to say is that this product that was actually a winning product for this store was a niche specific product. As I mentioned, this store was in a specific niche, but the way I found this product was not through the general strategies a lot of people say, which is going through Facebook feeds or looking at one of the advertisement spy tools for products. It was actually a very simple strategy. All I was doing was I was basically searching through Aliexpress in my specific niche for that product. Basically, all I did is typed in my niche onto Aliexpress and I sorted by the amount of orders. And all I was doing was looking for something that kind of stood out of the crowd, maybe something that was kind of interesting. And also, I was thinking in the customer's perspective. This is something you can do regardless if you have a niche store or a general store or a one product store. Always think about the customer's perspectives. Try to understand what a specific customer in your niche would want based on what's selling already. And that's exactly what I did. I was at the top of the list when I sorted by the most amount of orders, and I was just trying to see something that kind of stood out of the crowd. This specific niche store is in the fashion niche. So what I decided to do for this store is that I decided to sell a specific fashion product, specifically a hoodie, because it is currently winter time in the United States. So I found a hoodie on the Aliexpress most orders page, and one hoodie stood out of the crowd. It was related to that specific niche, and there were a decent amount of orders, about 300. And what I noticed was that based on last year's data, because I've been running this specific store for over a year now, I saw that this specific new design, which had 300 orders, was not there when I checked the same keywords out and the same products out last year during this time. So I kind of cross-reference this year from last year, because a lot of the other products that did show up were products which I had seen last year, but this specific design was something new and it was on the trend upwards because it had just gotten 300 orders. So I decided that I was going to test out that specific product, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I tested out that product and how I figured out that it was a winning product during that later portion of this video when I cover ads. But basically that's how I started with the specific testing phase for this product during the beginning of the month. If we go back to the sales dashboard, this is when I was actually testing the product. As you can see, I was kind of doing about $500, $700 days. And then after about a few days of testing, so about 5 days of testing, I realized that this was a winning product. So I began to aggressively scale. I began to aggressively launch more ad sets. So as you can see, it directly jumped from $500 to $1,700 in sales. And over the next few days, it began to kind of stay above the $1,000 range. And the highest day was about $2,700. But of course, problems happen all the time, and that's exactly what happened after October 16th. For this specific niche, I guess there was a lot of extra competition, a lot of more people who figured out that this product was a winner for me, so they started launching ads, and in the process, my own ads started to suffer because of the increased demand. But it was overall profitable, so that's all that matters. But going back to the Google Doc, after this hoodie started to kind of go downwards, what I did is I began searching on Aliexpress once again, and I did the same exact strategy. Basically go on Aliexpress, type in a specific keyword related to my niche, and this time I typed my specific niche and then the keyword sweatshirts. Here, what I was trying to do is I was trying to find another product, specifically a fashion accessory, which had the same kind of design as my main winning hoodie. And that's exactly what I did. I found another winning product during the later portion of this month and in the beginning of November. And this specific product was actually a sweatshirt. It was not a hoodie, but it had a very similar design to the winning hoodie, which is why I began to sell as well. So because this hoodie was getting advertised by other advertisers, I began scaling down for the hoodie, and for the sweatshirt I began to scale back up. So that's when my profit started to go back up again. But this is exactly how I basically structured my ads for the specific products and how I was able to find two winners. One was basically a very similar product to the first one, just a different kind of product. The first one was a hoodie, the second was a sweatshirt. But when it comes to niche related products and researching for niche related products, and again, this applies to you even if you're in a general store or running a one product store. But using Aliexpress to research the products, specifically just typing in the keyword for your niche, is one of the best and easiest ways to find winning products. Basically, you want to do exactly what I did. Try to find some products which are already selling, meaning those products with large amount of orders, and try to find other products which don't have as many orders but have a very similar design or functionality or layout to the main winning product. The sweatshirt was almost a similar identical design to the hoodie, and because of that the sweatshirt started selling as well. But this is how you're supposed to be doing research when it comes to niche stores. If you're running a general store, by all means you should be using Facebook feeds and those product research tools. But after you find a winning product for your general store, even your best method should be to then start finding more products within that same niche of your winning product and doing research via Aliexpress. But just doing research and just testing products is not enough. There has to be a good proper foundation in the first place for those products to work. And when it comes to dropshipping and Shopify, your foundation is your website. So when it comes to my website, what I was doing specifically to start even getting those sales are the things listed here. So the first thing I want to talk about is timer. Now, I normally suggest that you do not use timers, especially in months where there are no specific events or occasions coming up. But October is the start of the holiday season, which is why I began using timers aggressively. So for the timers, all I was doing is saying something like big Columbus Day sale, because Columbus Day was in October. So I was kind of using this specific day to showcase that there is a big sale going on in my website. So again, what I was doing is just writing in the timer, mega Columbus Day sale ends in, or big Columbus Day sale ends in, and then the timer. In addition to that, I was using Halloween as one of the events to have my sale around. So the same strategy applies as the Columbus Day one, basically saying mega Halloween sale ends in, and then the timer. So what I noticed is that doing this specifically really boosted my conversion rates, and because of this, I was getting consistently more and more sales each day. In addition to the sales, my average order value was increasing over time. If we go back to the sales dashboard and scroll all the way down, we can see that if we look at the specific average order value for this specific store, we can see that it was increasing over time. And that's mainly because, again, I was using the timers and I was applying all of these other strategies. Now, by the way, if you're looking at the online store conversion rate and thinking, what the heck, this is so low, how can I be profitable with a conversion rate like this? The first thing you want to notice is that I was using Zipify's one-click upsell. So when you use Zipify's one-click upsell, it redirects you to a brand new checkout process. So this checkout is not the one that Shopify runs. So because of this, Shopify is unable to monitor your metrics correctly. And this is exactly why all of the metrics are messed up. The add to cart, reach checkout, and sessions converted, this is all messed up because of the Zipify's one-click upsell. But the average conversion rate during this time was about a 3%. But if you go back to this Google Doc, speaking about the product page itself, one thing I did to really improve my conversion rate is basically I used the same image as I was using for my advertisements on my product page. So the main image was the same exact one as my ads. And the reason why I started doing this, and the reason why I recommend this, is because I've started to notice that if people see something that they were already expecting, meaning something they were familiar with, they're much more likely to buy than if they see something completely different. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? Well, when it comes to the specific images, if they see the same exact image as they saw on your ads, on the product page as well, they kind of link the two together, and automatically inside there's a sort of trust established. This is just a psychological thing that happens within a flick of a second, and believe it or not, this can really determine whether they purchase from you or not. If they were to see one image on the product advertisement, and then when they come on your product page itself, they see something completely different, and they see an image which may not even be for the same exact product as the one advertised, they kind of lose interest very quickly. So it's always best to use the same image that you use for ads on your product page as well. Again, this is something I noticed in my own experience. This may be different for you. But along with having this on your product page, another thing that I was doing for this specific website, which is why I believe I was able to scale so aggressively and so fast, is because I had a page load speed of less than or equal to 3 seconds at all times. I know a lot of people don't really pay attention to this, but this is really crucial in determining whether people trust your website or not, and whether people even buy from you or not. Again, this is a psychological thing where if a website takes longer than normal to load, they kind of label the website as scammy or something that's unprofessional, because think about it, which professional website would take 10 seconds to load? Let's compare that to Amazon. Amazon has millions and millions of products on their website, yet every single Amazon product page loads within seconds. And because of that, people have kind of gotten accustomed to fast loading speed, fast shipping speed, etc. Again, this goes back to my second point of familiarity. If what they're experiencing on your website is not something familiar to what they have already experienced, they're most likely not going to trust you. And this leads me to my last point when it comes to website, which is having zero distractions on your website. I've seen this happen on a lot of people's websites and also some of my own mentoring students' websites, where they have a lot of distractions. The first distraction is having the button add to wish list. Now, unless you're a big brand where people come onto your website often like Amazon, you really don't need this specific option. So you want to get rid of the add to wish list button in general, because when a customer sees this specific button, they're more likely to kind of get distracted and go off road and off the funnel. One thing you want to remember is when they enter your funnel, which is when they land on your product page, you want them to focus on one thing, and that is clicking that add to cart button. You don't want them to see the add to wish list button, click on it, be taken to another page, and then get distracted and not buy from you. And that's exactly what happens when you have this specific button, unless of course you're a popular website with a good returning rate. The second thing you want to remove from your website is having the share on social media buttons. If you notice on some of the themes, there's a little button that says share on Facebook, share on Instagram, share on Pinterest, etc. You want to get rid of those as well, because the same mentality applies as the first button. Try to distract your customer as less as you can, because their main job on your product page is to click that add to cart button. And this brings me to my third point, which is having the view relevant products at the very top of the product page. This should be something that's at the very bottom, possibly below the description, not at the very top, because again, this takes them off the product page somewhere else, and you don't want that happening. But this is exactly what I was doing on my website when it comes to really finding success with a specific product. But of course, just having a good website is not enough. That needs to be followed by having the right advertisement strategy. So speaking about ads, how was I doing the advertisements for this product, and how did I even test this product in the first place? So I want to take you over to my ads manager, and this is the campaign which was my test campaign for this specific product. Now, if you want more details as to how I tested the product, how I scaled the product, etc., I had made a video on this last month. I'll have the link in the description below for you guys. Do check that video out after this one. But this is the test campaign which I launched at the very beginning of the month to test the product. And I was doing something called the quick testing strategy. So in this strategy, what I was doing is I was testing 3 products in the same niche at the same time. So these 3 products were all hoodies in that specific niche. But the thing about this was all of the hoodies had different designs. And again, if you want more info on this, I'll have the link in the description for the video. But in the testing phase, I started each ad set at $20 per day. And if we go back to the specific ad sets, we can see that all of these were at $20 a day. And I was testing about 7 ad sets in total. So with these 7 ad sets, I was clearly able to establish that this specific product out of the other 2 was a winning product, and I'll show you guys exactly how. But as you guys can see, the ad set was actually unprofitable. If we look at just this specific campaign, before it was showing all of the last month's data, which was kind of inaccurate because Facebook doesn't measure every single conversion. But if we look at this specific campaign only, we can see that each ad set spent roughly $17, some spent $10, and so on. But right from the beginning, I was seeing that I was getting a lot of add to carts at a really low cost. So I was selling this product for $50. I was getting it for around $21. But the add to cart cost was really low, so that kind of stood out to me and told me that I was onto a winning product. But if we go ahead and look at the specific ads individual inside these ad sets, we can see that amongst all of these specific ad sets, there was one specific ad only which was getting the majority of the add to cart. So if we rank by the amount of add to carts, this specific ad at the top is for one single product. These three next ads are for another product. So as you can see, these three ads were for another product, but the one at the top three ads were for that same exact product, which was the winning product for me. And as you can see, even though the click-through rate was really low, below 1%, I was getting a good amount of cost per add to cart for this product. And if we rank by the amount of purchases, we can see that out of the 3 purchases, 2 purchases were for that main winning product. So these were the 2 things that kind of stood out of the crowd. The first one was, of course, the add to carts. The product which later turned out to be a winner was the one that was getting the most amount of add to carts. In fact, out of all the other 2 products, that one product had the most amount of add to carts. And in addition to that, out of the 3 purchases, that main winning product had 2 purchases. Another one of the designs actually got 1 purchase, but that was kind of a lucky sale, because if we go ahead and look at that specific design, which is this one right here, there was only 1 add to cart done, and that add to cart turned out to be the purchase. So this is also known as a lucky sale. But based on this data, I knew that I was onto something big, and that's when I decided to move that specific product which got me the 2 purchases and the most amount of add to carts into its own brand new campaign. And when I started testing that product in its own brand new campaign, that's when things really started to take off in the beginning of October. But basically, in order to test the product, this is what I was doing. So for the specific audiences, I was doing audiences which were kind of revolving around a specific community. So for example, in this case, I love something. If you want to sell a dog product, a dog related product, you would want to look at specific audiences or pages which are something like I love dogs or I love my dog, and kind of group them together. That is exactly what I was doing when I was testing this specific product. And again, if you want more details as to how to choose the audiences, I have a whole Facebook playlist on my channel about Facebook ads. But in addition to the I love pages, I was testing specific magazines related to that product. So if you were again selling that dog product, you would look at dog magazines and target those dog magazines. Then that's followed by more community pages, maybe pages related to the well-being of your dog or how to take care of your dog properly, and so on. And that's followed by more maybe famous celebrities in your niche. So potential dog owners who are also famous and have pages around them. And you can do all sorts of these other things, but this is exactly what I was doing. As I showed you guys, I only had about 7 ad sets, and I was able to determine the winning product from those 7. You can do stores in the specific niche, so maybe dog related stores, and demographics, meaning specific demographics like dog owners only. And these are all potential audiences which can get you more than enough results for you to know whether the product that you're testing is a winner or not. Because as you guys saw in my case, all I had was 7 ad sets with 3 different ad copies for 3 different products. And out of those 3 products, only 2 got me the sales, but 1 product was the one that was getting me the most amount of add to carts and purchases, which helped me decide that I wanted to test that product individually. And that's exactly how I was able to do $1,298 per day on average for the month of October. But this is the exact strategy that I used to really find success with this product. As you guys saw, it starts from the product, but it goes all the way up to the website as well, how well your funnel is built out, how professional and trustworthy it is, and that's of course followed by advertisements. When it comes to finding winning products and doing these sorts of numbers every single day, you want to understand that all of these things are kind of interlinked with each other. You can have the perfect website and the perfect ad, but if you have a bad product, it's not gonna work out, period. Or you can have the perfect product and the perfect website, but if your ads are not compelling enough, the product won't sell, period. So it's always good to kind of look at all aspects of your funnel, starting from your website, going up to your product, and finally your ads, to determine whether the product is a problem or your ads or your website is a problem. But if you found any type of value in this video, make sure to smash that like button down below and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.